Meet Lieutenant Mehak Saini, Lieutenant Sakshi Dubey, Lieutenant Aditi Yadav, Lieutenant Payas Mudgil, and Lieutenant Akansha, who in a historic first became the 5 women officers to be inducted into the Indian Army's premier artillery units in April this year. 3 of them have been deployed along the China border and the other 2 in close proximity to the frontier with Pakistan. This is one such gratifying story highlighting the acknowledgement of Nari Shakti within India's defence sector. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, the government has actively worked towards enhancing female representation in India's defence landscape. While the count of women officers in the armed forces stood at approximately 3,000 in 2014-15, there has been more than a 3-fold increase in the same in the last 8 years. Currently, the Indian Army boasts a serving strength of over 7,000 women personnel, with the Indian Air Force and the Navy following suit with 1,636 and 748 women officers respectively. During his 72nd Independence Day address, PM Modi made a significant announcement, granting women officers recruited under the Short Service Commission the opportunity to opt for permanent commission.
भाइयों बहनों, मैं आज इस मंच से मेरी कुछ बेटियां, बहादुर बेटियों को एक खुशखबरी देना चाहता हूं। शॉर्ट सर्विस कमीशन के माध्यम से महिला अधिकारियों को पुरुष समकक्ष अधिकारियों की तरह पारदर्शी चयन प्रक्रिया द्वारा स्थायी कमीशन का मैं आज घोषणा करता हूं।
Formerly, women officers were required to retire after 14 years of service with no scope of promotion or pension even in non-combat roles. Their male counterparts, however, were eligible for permanent commission after 14 years. The policy change has fostered gender equality, promoted inclusivity, and opened up new avenues for women in defense, thereby empowering them in an unprecedented way. In another historic decision in 2019, the Modi government decided to include women in the military police with an aim to enhance their representation in the armed forces. The responsibilities of the personnel appointed include investigation of offences, indulging in military operations where the army needs police assistance, and providing support for evacuation of villages during cross-border hostilities, and so on. In 2015, India opened new combat air force roles for women as fighter pilots. Flying officers Avani Chaturvedi, Bhavna Kant, and Mohana Singh became the first female pilots to be inducted into an Air Force fighter squadron in 2016, making India one of the few countries to allow women in combat aviation. Opportunities that were previously unavailable due to the rigid combat exclusion policy opened up for women who could now serve in critical operational roles. Furthermore, in order to promote women in leadership roles, 108 female officers have been elevated as colonels in 2023 so far. Earlier this year, Captain Shiva Chauhan became the first ever woman to be operationally deployed in Siachen Glacier, the world's highest and the coldest battlefield. While in another first, the Indian Air Force selected Group Captain Shaliza Dami to take over command of a frontline combat unit in the Western sector. This consistently increasing representation of women in the defense forces is a lucid reflection of the fact that the new India is harnessing the potential of its women in safeguarding national security like never before. At the same time, it demonstrates the Modi government's unwavering commitment to breaking gender barriers even at the highest levels.